Well, it's Friday, November the 20th. Fridays are typically my day off. So, went hunting this morning and saw a couple of coyotes, no deer. I got back home, decided I'd make some jerky. I had a couple people ask me last week, what kind of jerky do you make? How do you make it? So, thought I'd do a video on it. I'm not a jerky expert, but I know how to make jerky. If you try to make it this way and you do it wrong and you get botulism, I'm not responsible for accidents. Alright, here's what I do. I start out with 4 pounds of ground meat. You'll notice this meat doesn't have a lot of fat in it. I cut this meat up myself, trimmed the fat, and had it ground. It's very, very lean deer meat of a deer shot this year. I use Backwoods brand by Lem, L-E-M. Get it at Academy. It's about $5. It says it'll do 5 pounds. I always do 4. I did 5 a couple times, and basically I just thought it had more flavor at 4 pounds. So 4 pounds is what I have here, or thereabouts. It says to mix it with 5 ounces of warm water, and I've done that. And you see here, it's kind of got it's almost like salt syrup, and it's just spices. I've had people say you don't have to do that, that you don't have to mix it in water. You can just put the powder in. You probably could. I've always done it this way. When I start my meat thawing, that's when I add my seasoning to the 5 ounces of water, and I let it dissolve. And then in order to get it hot, I add ground red pepper. And so I've added a little bit of that. I don't want it to make it where you can't eat more than one piece, but I do like it to have a little more heat. So once you get that mixed up, you pour it in here, and it'll always, you kind of have to work it out. It's just a matter of working it with your hands. The package says work it till it gets tacky, and you'll know when it starts getting tacky. I think there's some meat binders in the seasoning, and that's what gives it that tackiness. I have found that commercial mixes that you buy tend to bind the meat better than if you just got some Worcestershire and some pepper and some salt and did it yourself. I don't know what it is in there, but something in there makes the meat really tacky. If you have a lot of fat in it, your fat will turn orange because of the seasonings, I guess, attaching to it. So you mix this for a few minutes. You want to get it mixed very well. Otherwise, you'll have some bites of jerky that just tastes like deer meat with nothing in them. Now, it's very loose when I started. And now that it's starting to get tacky, you see it sticking to my fingers. See, I wouldn't have done that when we started. So it's starting to work. I always try to roll what's on the bottom of the bowl to the top and then push it back into itself. Now we got tacky. I'll let that set for a couple minutes. I'll get my jerky gun put together, and then we'll start putting it on some trays. Okay, the meat's been setting here for a few minutes. I don't guess you have to do that, but I always let it set for a few minutes. If you have a jerky gun, you probably have 2 attachments, maybe have more. One for round, one for flat. I prefer the round. One thing to remember, when you start with these, if you mix them not on the same sheet, but on separate sheets, because the flat does tend to dry quicker than the round, or at least it does in my dehydrator. So I have a technique of what you'll need to do. That's the most important thing to me, is the paper towels. If you have a jerky gun, a Lem jerky gun, one end is not beveled, one end has a bevel. This is important. I was very frustrated first time I used this end. And it says nozzle, it says handle. but I find it so much easier to go in from this side. And so I do it backwards, but the way it says to do it is extremely difficult. So you're just going to take some of this meat and pack it in there, and I use the sides of the jerky gun to clean my fingers. And I just pack it in there. I've seen people take this and make little balls and put them in the fridge and then load the balls of meat into the jerky gun and press it. They make a jerky gun press, but I don't know. This works for me. I don't want to spend money on something that I'm not going to use that often. Something that would get lost. So you keep packing that in there. Since the meat's tacky from the mix, it'll pack in real nice, stick together. I have this single paper towel, and that's just a quick wipe of my fingers to get the big chunks. Here's the important part. These two doubled over are your handle. I only touch the meat with my right hand. That's the hand I work with. That's the hand I'll be working the cocking gun with, or the jerky gun. So I use that to operate anything on this right hand. That way I don't cover the outside of my jerky gun. And get meat all over it, and it ain't nasty. And then I just continue to use the paper towel. I have a clean side that I use on the gun, the dirty side on my hands. I take the spoon that I stirred my mix up with. I like to put the handle of the tray away from me so that I have the edge, the back edge of the tray toward me. That makes it easier to break each link once you start it. You just want a nice, even, straight line. When you get to the end, spoon breaks it off. Try to put the same amount of sticks on each tray. That'll greatly help as to how quickly and how evenly your meat comes off. Otherwise, you have 2 links on this tray that are fat and 2 links on this tray that are toasted and not ready or overdone, and some that are underdone. So I just try to go even lines, straight lines. I space it out. I've got my tray, has a divider here in the middle, so I'm going to do 4 on that side. I'll do 4 on this side. Plus, that'll give you a really good idea as to how much meat you can put in your dehydrator at a time if you do each tray evenly. I have 4 pounds of meat here. Typically, that'll do 5 trays of my dehydrator. I have just a little bit left. Dirty meat hand, keep it over there. Clean left hand to handle the trays with. Now we have a little bit left in here, so we'll see how far it goes. That's it. So we got about a half a stick. Now that I still have this dirty hand with the napkins, I'm going to undo the nozzle end, lay it down with my same napkin, undo the back end, pull the tube out. I'll just leave that napkin right there. I'll take the meat and start over again, packing from the beveled end to the front. Take my wipe off, get the big chunks. Can't wash your hands in between each batch. My clean hand, I grab the tube, Anything that's got meat poking out of it, I grab it with the hand that handles the meat. Alright, now we're ready to go again. So I'm going to take right where I left off on this piece, and I'm going to start it right there, and I'll push it together with a spoon after I break the end of the stick. Then I'll just take and touch these together. You don't have to smash them. Just get them touching. As they dry, they'll pull together and they'll stay together. So we're going for 4 sticks on each side of the center line of the tray. That way we're doing 8 full-length sticks to a tray. And that's about what my jerky gun puts out. Minus, well, I guess it does 8.5 sticks. But I want the sticks to be uniform, not all zigzagged and pushed together, not stretched out real skin. It's kind of like welding. You know, in welding, you want a uniform, even bead. And if you make it too skinny, you didn't put enough material in it. If you make it too thick, you put too much material in it. You just want this nice, uniform, even bead so that air can circulate in between the sticks. You don't want the sticks touching. Clean hand, grab the tray. Alright, this is our 5th and final tray. And as you can see, I have one hand that's almost perfectly clean. I have one hand that's still kind of gummy. And you look at the paper towel I've been using. This is the side I grab everything with. So when you get to the end, you know you're about out of jerky. You need to figure out what to do with what's still in the tip. I don't like to throw it away. So when I know that my bowl is empty, everything left in my gun is what I got left, I break this last line in half instead of running all the way to the end. And I mean, look at how clean everything is, because I use a dirty hand to handle all the meat. So you've kept one hand clean the whole time. Now you're done. Your jerky gun's not all nasty looking. Now you're going to clean everything up anyway, so if you need to get both of your hands dirty, you're going to the sink next anyways. I squirt out all the meat that's left in there. Throw everything in the wash bowl. Then I pack this out. Sometimes I make 2 if I got a lot of meat like this. I pat this out. And as long as I'm going thinner than the sticks I'm making, this will cook quicker. So then I've got a little snack while the rest of these finish up, and I kind of get an idea what they're going to taste like. You can fry a piece if you're a little worried about your mix, whether you're going to like it or not. You can fry a piece before you start. But I'm confident in the mix. I've used it a bunch. But I just make these thin. I mean, you can make them in little balls. You can get real fancy and roll them out. The main thing is that you make them a little bit thinner than the sticks, because the sticks are getting air all the way around them. These, in order to cook at the same time or less, need to be thinner. So we made those thinner. From once the meat was thawed until we finished our 5th tray, the mix, filling up 5 trays, this is 4 pounds of jerky, took about 32 minutes. 4 pounds of jerky ready to go in 32 minutes it's pretty good. I'll do another batch. We'll have 8 pounds on. The dehydrator will be full, and I'll show you the end result. Saturday morning, November 21st. Went hunting this morning. Cold front came in about 3 hours late, and so it was 51 when I left. It was 45 when I got back. Wind blew about 40. Didn't see anything. Duck hunters next door did some shooting. Seems like a few ducks were ahead of the front, but gonna finish up on the jerky today. As we said yesterday, we put it in there. I set it on 150 degrees for 5 hours. I came back at 5 hours. It was still a little soft in the center, so I programmed it for another hour and a half and went to bed, left it all night. And by leaving it all night, the heat inside the dehydrator continues to draw out moisture. So if it's borderline, go under on your time limit. If you need to go on to bed, or you need to go hunting or whatever, just go a little under and leave it in there, and it'll continue to dry as you leave it. Here's the flat pieces that we did, and they came out good. They're not brittle, but they still have a little bend to them. Little bend. This white stuff that you see on there, that's fat. As you'll notice on mine, I don't have very little fat because it's very lean. So what I do is I bring in the tray out of the dehydrator, and the sticks that were full length have shrunk, oh, maybe an inch, definitely drawn up. So I just take them all off the tray. Since we made them all the same length, and we're pretty particular about the way we put them on there, if we take these, for my dehydrator, if I cut these in half, they fit perfectly in a Ziploc baggie. And since I made 8 pounds of jerky, way more than me and the wife and kids will eat, I'll probably bag these up and take some to church with me tomorrow. We're having our Thanksgiving dinner. Anybody in church that wants some deer jerky to take home with them for the holidays, they can have at it. Probably not the best way to make jerky, but it works for me. Everyone seems to like it. Pretty simple. The main thing is just be clean, be organized, take your time, make it look good, and you won't be disappointed with it when you're done. Thanks for watching.